Hello, and welcome to episode 69 of Let's Talk Immigration. I want to start by showing off a little bit that we were able to get a narrative into the news last week, broadcast news, with respect to how Blinken's management of the Bureau of Consular Affairs and visa adjudications has not been going as it should. I'll go ahead and play that clip. It's almost a 3-minute clip while people join us, and then we'll go. I got something I want to talk about the visa bulletin, and then we'll go to question and answers. Okay, so let's first start with that video. Here we go.
Tonight, we hear from immigrants and U.S. citizens trying to bring family members into the U.S. legally. Many are frustrated as they watch as millions of illegal immigrants pour across the border with few, if any, consequences. National correspondent William LaChanesse has the story from Los Angeles.
Many people abroad are waiting 10, 15, 26 years to enter the U.S. legally and join family, and yet every day they watch the administration welcome millions illegally to stay indefinitely with a work permit. So we talked to 4 would-be immigrants, right?
I will stop there to say it's not indefinitely with a work permit, because if you come into the U.S. and you're seeking asylum, there's going to be a day where you're going to have an asylum. Depending on how you come in, you're going to have an interview, or you're going to have to the case. You're going to have to make the case before an immigration judge, and if the asylum isn't granted, then you could face removal. So it's not an indefinite situation, as he said. Okay.
Who lost patience and crossed in Tijuana. The other 3 respect the law and are waiting.
Being in United States, it's a dream of anyone.
Like thousands around the world, Indian dentist Dr. Nirmal Patel wants to enter the U.S. legally. He applied for a visa to join his parents in Georgia. 19 years later, he's still waiting.
We're trying to do it the legal way.
Not unlike Vaughn Kukler, who applied 3 years ago for a visa for her Pakistani husband.
It's sad, it's frustrating, we're angry.
Mohammed Hassan has waited 4 years for a visa for his Pakistani wife.
Anybody that I've ever talked to doesn't understand what it takes to be here legally.
A lot of my clients feel like people are cutting in line in front of them, and the administration's okay with it.
Roughly 32 million applied last year for an immigrant visa to enter the U.S. legally. Just 4% were admitted, adding to a backlog of some 13 million already in process. 66,000 of those are in administrative review, a vetting process for which there are only 37 analysts and no deadline.
Can you imagine Carson Wu's face when he's watching that on TV, right? Like, they kept that a secret that there were 66,000 people in AP and only 37 analysts until it was Carson revealed it in a lawsuit in the District Court of Columbia with another immigration attorney. And I got a hold of the declaration and made it public. And before that, nobody knew about this. And now it's on the news, not even 2 months later. So
We have to sue at this level to get them to actually move and make a decision on our visa.
We don't want to do anything illegal.
Wait times for relatives of U.S. citizens of up to 20 years are causing some to lose patience and cross the border illegally.
I get texts from my clients who say, hey, I'm in Tijuana. I'm like, you don't supposed to do that.
If they couldn't come legally, they will come illegal.
The State Department approved a visa for Saeed Shapoor in 2020, but it was never issued. Eventually, he left Afghanistan for Tijuana and is now an asylum seeker in California.
Person like me, I have one life.
Attorneys have sued the Biden administration for delays and not awarding all of the visas authorized by Congress. The State Department told us it does not comment on pending litigation. Brett?
no, they do not comment on pending litigation when they don't want to. Like, I've had them comment on pending litigation before, but not in this case. So, okay. Visa bulletin thing I want to talk about, and then we'll go to question and answers. Okay. As many of you know, the April 2024 visa bulletin has been released. The visa bulletin throttles the availability of immigrant visas in the employment, family, and diversity visa categories. And here's what's new for the April 2024 visa bulletin. That's a new surprise. Okay, scroll down to the bottom. This doesn't mean anything for diversity visa selectees, but for employment and family, it's very cool. Visa availability in the coming months. That was not on the March visa bulletin or any of the previous visa bulletins going back a long time, because the State Department didn't care to keep you informed and to be transparent about expectations on what you can expect. Maybe it's all the lawsuits we file. I don't know. But they have decided that maybe they should give a hint of what's going on so that people are not surprised and frustrated. I would prefer that they request resources from Congress and actually implement legal immigration as Congress intended, and they use all the allotted visas they have, and they staff all the embassies like Islamabad, Nairobi, Ankara, Abu Dhabi, Yerevan. They keep all those embassies staffed and they get visas issued. That's what I would prefer, but this is going in the right direction. So the good news here is that F2A is going to move, okay? It's not going to move a lot. It's going to move up to 6 months in the next 6 months, because this availability in the coming months, they're talking about 6 months. They explain that down here. The bad news is for F4, because sibling petitions of U.S. citizens, in a 6-month period, it's only going to move 4 weeks. Well, if it continues to do that, the 20-year delay for F4 now, let me see, F4 is chart A, chart B. Chart A says June of 2007 are the applications they are working on. So it's like a 17-year delay for most of the world. It's a lot worse for some parts of the world. It's over 20 for Philippines and Mexico. So the almost 20-year delay, if you realize every 6 months it only moves 1 month, F4s are going to be like in a 30 to 40 year situation. So if you become a U.S. citizen when you are 19 years old, petition your siblings because you want them to be able to immigrate before they die or you die. Pretty crazy stuff. But when this system and the current congressional allotments were set up, there wasn't the demand to immigrate to the U.S. that there is now. Okay, so there's a lot more people in line, and it's causing the lines to move a lot slower. Of course, they could move faster if it was one of the administration's priorities, which it is not. Okay, I want to go to Q&As. So I saw some people ask some questions before we even started. I don't know if they're still here, but let's go ahead and answer their questions. Blessings, Curtis. I belong to the Gomez class, and if Judge Mehta's decision is positive, I will send you these 2 questions. Okay. I assume he's talking about Judge Mehta's decision on the motion that Raphael filed on behalf of Mohammed Fongchong and Kennedy plaintiffs last week to lift the stay. So let's look at his 2 questions. I don't know if it will be the time, but what would be the order of the way in which the visas will be issued? Okay, David, we don't know, but we do know a couple things. We know that they've never been issued in case number order in the history of the DV program. And logistically, I don't think that's possible because people are at different embassies. And yeah, I just don't think it's possible. Second, we know that KCC will not be involved, because KCC no longer collects documents, reviews documents, and all of the DV 2020 cases have already been moved to the embassy, although embassies cannot access them. They're going to have to run a script program to allow embassies to be able to access those applications. Right now, they're frozen. Nobody can touch them. No reason to email the embassy about DV 2020. But so those are the 2 things we know. That KCC will not be involved, which is great because LDRM, the contractor that was working there, is incompetent. I think the State Department agrees with me on that, according to the Freedom of Information Act request results that we've got. Okay. Next question. What happens to the cases that do not appear when verified in the SEAC? Saludos desde Cuba. Hola. The government attorneys have assured us over and over that those cases where you enter the case number and they do not appear in SEAC, that they actually exist, and it's just a computer glitch that's showing that they don't show up. Through the Freedom of Information Act, we got a hold of the communications, the emails back and forth between the government attorneys, between the State Department, where they're trying to figure out why this is happening too, because they didn't do it on purpose. It just happened that some of the case numbers don't show up in SEAC. And if you read through this Freedom of Information Act production, which we made, we were transparent. We put it on our website under FOIA production. If you read through those emails, I'm convinced, hopefully you would be convinced too, that that there is good faith here, that the State Department did not destroy those cases, and that they will be able to be interviewed even if they don't show up. I'm a little, I'm cautious. I want to wait and see, but it looks like they will still have the ability to pursue Gomez visas in the event the stay is lifted or we beat the appeal. Okay, David asked another question. He said 2, that looks like 3. Will Cubans be processed in Guyana or the Cuban embassy? David, I have asked this question specifically to the government attorney, and he said, I refer you to the State Department's website, which doesn't give any information about this. It is confusing that they said that they have dispatched these DV cases already to the embassy, and since then they've closed some of these embassies. At the time they dispatched them, Havana was closed, but Moscow, Khartoum, Kabul, Kiev, there were some embassies that were open that are closed. So I don't know how that's going to work. Hopefully the State Department will be reasonable and help and let people change their interview locations. If they don't, there's going to be a lot of angry people. I'd say 10% of DV 20 selectees need to move their interview locations because they're located in a different place now. Okay. Sabor says, hello, sir. Hope you're doing great. A friend of mine has an SIV case and he got denied due to his length of work. He worked with the U.S. for 1 year. Is there any solution for him? I do not handle SIV cases, so I'm not an expert in that. I would say that it doesn't look good, but he needs to talk to an attorney who handles SIV. Also, I would recommend that he enters the diversity visa lottery every year because it's good to always have a plan B every October. Okay. And now Sabor says, my wife, she's an American citizen and I'm in Afghanistan. It's almost been 2 years that I'm waiting for an interview. Is there anything I should do? My case is spouse. So it sounds like your case is spouse and IR1. And yes, your wife should reach out to me about filing a mandamus lawsuit, or you can contact me and we can discuss it. I would be interested in knowing where your wife lives. I would be interested to know what the status of your application is, whether it's been DQ. Yeah. And I assume you're waiting for Islamabad, which is a problem, but I want to know that too, what embassy you're waiting on. Okay. I got an email from NBC that if I select Afghanistan for my schedule, it's going to take less time compared to Pakistan. And I did. And it's been 14 months since my case documentarily complete and waiting. the U.S. Embassy in Afghanistan is closed. So I think I know what you're talking about, because they were trying to airlift some people out, but I don't know how that's going now. This is your question does not apply to the majority of the audience watching. So let's reach out to me directly with an email. Give me all the information, the documents if you can, and I'll take a look at them. One more question, sir. A friend of mine worked with the U.S. military almost a year, and his case got denied due to the length of his work. Is there a solution for him? I think your friend, someone already asked that question today, right? Or did you ask that question already? I don't handle SIV, but I recommend that your friend talk to someone who does. He has a hard row to hoe, is what they say in the U.S. In the country. It's going to be a challenge for him. Okay. Faisal, any updates about the stay? Okay, Faisal's talking about the motion for stay that my law partner Rafael Urena filed in the Gomez lawsuit to lift the stay. No, and I would not have expected an update. Okay, well, it would have been nice if the Gomez class would have filed something saying that they supported the stay, but that didn't happen. So what the next thing that's going to happen is the government's going to file their opposition to the stay, and that's going to be in about a week. Okay. Here are the question. Hi. Any update for DV 2021? Okay. When people ask about DV 2021, I need to tell you the majority of DV 2021 selectees who were not issued visas, those journeys are over. The people the DV 2021 journeys that are not over are good luck plaintiffs, go plaintiffs, people that could benefit from the order in Ray versus Biden or Blinken. I don't know. In the Ray lawsuit by the order from Judge Chutkan. DV 2021 generally does not have a path forward, and that's been that way since October 1st, 2021. Okay. If you are messaging me and just saying DV 2021, that's the answer you're going to get. If you're a good luck plaintiff, why would you say DV 2021? You need to say good luck plaintiff. Okay. I'm not saying that's you, but that's the situation. Oh, you are good luck plaintiffs, and you're capitalizing it to make sure I hear you. Good. Okay, so good luck plaintiffs. You have to continue to waiting for the outcome of the appeal. Unlike in Gomez, we have not filed a motion to lift the stay in good luck because it's procedurally in a different place. We need to see whether or not Judge Mehta entertains the motion to lift the stay in Gomez first. Okay, so just be patient. Okay. I'm not seeing any more questions, but I've got a lot of viewers. So what I'm going to do is invite viewers on the screen to ask their questions live. I promise I'll be nice to you. I'm a nice person. I'm a very kind and nice person. Link to join me on the screen. If you go to comments, I've shared a link. I think it's showing up on Facebook and YouTube. I don't know if it's showing up anywhere else, but it's showing up on the Facebook and YouTube, and it's a link that if you click on that StreamYard link, you'll go backstage, and then I can show you on the screen, and you can ask your questions live, and we can see each other, and it'll be great. It'll be a lot of fun. Okay. Especially if you have a little dog. I want to see a little dog. Cute little dog. Not an ugly little dog. Just got a cute little dog. That'll make it even better. Or a bird. I know a lot of people in Iran, for example, have pet birds. So you got pet bird. I'll look at your pet bird. Okay. So while we're waiting for questions, I want to go back real quick to my favorite topic, the Carson Wu Declaration. You'll notice that it says Exhibit A. That's because we are following this declaration as an exhibit in all of our mandamus lawsuits for people in administrative processing. Question I frequently get is, what's the benefit of a mandamus lawsuit? And let me see. Here, this paragraph 3, it's so important. I don't know if I can make it bigger. Yes, read paragraph 3 with me, okay? It says, the department does not expedite security vetting solely because the visa applicant or someone acting on the applicant's behalf filed a civil action seeking mandamus relief. What that means is just because you file a lawsuit does not mean they're going to speed up the security vetting, but they certainly don't say that they're not going to. Also, the next paragraph is the most important in the world, okay? This is the most important sentence in the world. And I can't even highlight it right. Okay. When notified of litigation, the screening office, also called the SAC office, assesses the visa case to determine whether the case is being processed consistent with existing standards. For example, the screening office will confirm that the screening is correct for the identified security concern, or that the review has been appropriately processed consistent with the State Department's priorities. I cannot tell you how valuable that is. It is with regularity that we file a mandamus lawsuit, and we find that the problem is not with the SAC. It's not even what plaintiffs thought, that they were waiting on national security vetting, because the consular officer failed to even request the national security vetting. They haven't even formally refused the case under 221G, a necessary step. Every visa application has to be result in a visa issuance or a refusal that day. And if it's not a permanent refusal, it needs to be a 221G non-final decision. And 4 of the applicants in the group lawsuit, Pars versus Blinken, that we have filed in the Northern District of California, we just found out with the government's filing that 4 of them, they had not issued the 221G non-final decision yet. So those cases haven't been moved along. So the value of a mandamus lawsuit, yes, it's great if we can get the State Department to expedite the adjudication to avoid the consequences of the lawsuit. But goodness, it looks like you need a lawsuit just to make sure that they're doing the process correctly and that they haven't forgotten about your application. This reminds me, we had a case during when we did all the Group DV litigation where it had turned out KCC had mistakenly just not, the person at KCC had not processed the case correctly. And that's the only reason the interview had not been scheduled, and it would have never been scheduled had that applicant not been a participant in that lawsuit, because the government has to explain themselves in front of judges. They don't have to explain themselves if you don't hold them accountable. Can you tell that I like suing the government, and I think it's a good idea for visa applicants to do that? Okay, I'm still looking for people to join us on the screen. So Boris says, where can I find your email, sir? Well, I think I can put up a banner with my email. Let me see. I'm going to try it. Curtis at Morrison. I've got 2 emails, but this is the one for Morrison Urena. Well, I didn't do it right. Maybe my team can help me, because create a banner. Curtis at morrisonurena.com. That's my email address. I did something. Yay, I'm so proud of myself. Okay, last chance to ask me a question. I don't see any questions here. I don't see anybody backstage. Nobody wants to talk about Carson Wu, the Visa Bulletin, or Fox News? No? Okay. So I'll see you next week for episode 70 of Let's Talk Immigration. Everybody have a great week.